Zero na kung exam result. Uy, sige, lingi. Crash ka to, no? Dili, uy. Wala mo ka-crash na to. Ay, nagdinay dia. Ay, nagdinay dia, James. Atik ka. Wala mo tinuyab, bro. Tara, uy. Bahala mo, uy. Uy, Josie na dito. Wala lagi na siya na pumima. Dulo na ko dito. Naunsa kasi? Nakay problema?
Kanay, gitagan yung test ba? Tapos, kanang 1 million siya nga number. Kami ang mangitag algorithm. So, dapat, kanang, kung kinsa na itong pinaka-pas-pas nga kuan, sort daw, mo ito yung makakatuan daw.
Ah, mau ba? Ay, sige, tabakan tayo pangitag algorithm.
Sure, Roy. Sige, sige. Bantay ka.
Sige, sige.
A few moments later.
Gusto mo itong algorithm parang katabang ko ni Josie. Saon man niyo, huwag may manggawas. Pitani ba?
Radic sort buddy.
Sa man to? Ay, tama din no, radic sort. Uy, Juicy! Napanay ba ang algorithm?
Ay, hala, sure, Roy. Yung sapon.
Kwanto, radic sort.
Ah, okay, sige. Try na akong gamit, ha. Salamat kayo.
2 hours later.
James! Uy! Uy, salamat kayo. Nagamit siya na ko yung mong radic sort mo.
Oh, mayo.
Tara, ice cream!
Hala, yung saan ang radic sort? Radic sort is a powerful and efficient sorting algorithm that was invented in 1887 by the mathematician Hermann Hollerith. Hollerith was a pioneer in the field of data processing and is best known for his invention of the punch card tabulating machine, which was used for the 1890 United States Census. While working on optimizing the tabulating process, Hollerith developed the radic sort algorithm as a way to efficiently sort and organize data. Radic sort is a non-comparative integer sorting algorithm that sorts data by processing individual digits. Unlike algorithms like quicksort or merge sort that compare elements, radic sort works by grouping and ordering numbers by their place values like ones, tens, and hundreds. The algorithm works by sorting the input elements digit by digit, starting from the least significant digit. In each digit pass, a stable subroutine sorting algorithm like counting sort is used to maintain the relative order of equal elements.
The time complexity of the radic sort shows how it performs as input size increases. The radic sort algorithm has a time complexity of O n times d, where n is the number of elements in the input array and d is the number of digits in the largest element. This means that if a set of data has more items in it, the algorithm does more work to sort it. And if the largest number has more digits, the algorithm also takes more time to finish.
Now that we have discussed the background of the radix algorithm, it's time for us to use it to sort. And there's no better way than to validate its practicality than to use it to real-world scenarios.
Suppose we have a logistics company. The company needs to sort the remaining parcels by their destination zip codes at the end of the day. A Philippine zip code is a fixed length integer of 4 digits. This is perfect for our algorithm. Let's say the remaining 6 parcels at the end of the day have the following zip codes: 6271, 1394, 9867, 2908, 1906, and 7354.
So let's use the radix algorithm to sort. First, we need to find the LSD, or the least significant digits, which are the ones. So here we have 1, 4, 7, 8, 6, and 4. So we sorted in the first iteration saying this. So 9271, then 1394, then 7354, then 19,006, then 9,867, and 2,908. So this would be the first iteration of the radix algorithm. So here we have the second iteration, which we look at, that's the text. So first we have 19,006, the 2,908, and then 7,354. Next is the 9,867, and then 6,701 and 71. Then the last would be the 1,394. This would be the second iteration of the radix algorithm sort. So in the third iteration, we're gonna do the hundreds. So here, the first one would be the 6,271. The next would be 7,354. Then 1,394. Which would be the 9,867. Next, then 1,906, and the 2,904. So here, which is the third iteration of the radix algorithm. And the last, that would be the last because there are only 4 digits, the thousands. So here we get the 1,394, the 1,906, the 2,904, and 6,771, and 7,354, okay, 9,867. From there, the array would be sorted by using only 4 iterations. So as we can see here, the array is sorted in just 4 iterations because the biggest value of the array has only 4 digits. That's why the radix sort algorithm only used 4 iterations to sort the array.
Now that we know the flow of the algorithm and how it should function, let's now dive into the code of the algorithm and let's analyze it by each of its functions. The main function is the radix sort function. This is the outermost function of the algorithm. It requires 2 inputs, the input array and the length of the array. Inside the radix sort function, the getMax function is called.
The purpose of this function is to get the largest number in the input array. The largest number is retrieved by comparing every number with the next number, returning the largest number at the end. This function is important because the algorithm needs to know the number of digits in the largest number to know how many times to iterate. This function is only called once each time the radix sort function is called. The value returned by the getMax function is put into a variable m to be used by the next function. Next, the algorithm runs a for loop on the variable m. This for loop is used to determine how many times the radix sort subroutine sorting algorithm, counting sort, will iterate. For example, if m is equal to 3456, the loop will iterate 4 times. The variable exp or exponent is also important as its value determines what place value the counting sort will sort on. exp always starts at 1, meaning the sort always starts at the ones place value. It multiplies by 10 each time the loop finishes an iteration. So the algorithm then sorts at the tens, hundreds, thousands, and so on. On each iteration of the loop, the count sort function is called. This is the subroutine of the radix sort algorithm. It requires 3 inputs: the input array, the length of the array, and the exponent. The count sort function starts by initiating 2 arrays: the output array and the count array. The output array is used to store the sorted output, and the count array is used to count occurrences. After that, the function runs 4 for loops. The purpose of the first for loop is to count and store the occurrences of the place value digit based on the exponent. For example, if we had a number 8912 and we are sorting by the ones place value, we would increment the value of count index 2. If we were at the third iteration and sorting by hundreds place value, we would increment the value of count index 9. The next for loop changes the count array to a position array that shows the correct positions of digit in the output. This is done by adding the value in an index to the value in the previous index. The next for loop builds the output array, and then after that the output array's values replace the original input array. This iterates over again until the outer for loop ends. Now that we know the full code of the radix sort algorithm, let us use it to sort the 6 zip codes used earlier. To start, let us write the array that we are going to be using. So first, now that we have written our array, let us use the radix sort algorithm to sort this array. First, we call radix sort, and in radix sort, we add our array and the length of our array. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the first function we are going to use is the getMax function. The getMax function is a function that takes the biggest value in an array and returns it. So after finishing the getMax function, we are able to get the biggest number in the array, and that number is 9867. So the next thing we are going to do is to do a for loop and then do the subroutine of the radix sort, which is the counting sort. we now proceed to the for loop, in which we are going to get all the occurrences of each integer on the ones place. So after finishing the for loop, we now have our new count values. After this, we are going to do another for loop that is going to change the count array to contain the actual position of the digits in the output. And now, after the second for loop, we have the new values of the count array. And then after this, we're going to do another for loop so we can build the output array. So now we have finished the for loop to build the output array. And as you can see here, this is the new output array. Now, to finish the counting sort function, the next thing we're going to do is another for loop to put the values of the output array into the original array. So now, we have finished with our final for loop. And as you can see, our original array is filled with the values from the output array. And so what's going to happen now is we are going to do the for loop again in the radix sort function and iterate another iteration of the counting sort. And this will go on until the for loop stops. And now, after 4 iterations, we have finally sorted our array. As you can see here, from the left side we have 1394, next 1906, next 2908, next 6271, next 7354, and lastly 9867. This proves that the algorithm is successful in sorting the zip codes. In this assessment, we are going to compare the performance of the radix sort algorithm with the merge sort and quicksort algorithms. We are going to measure each algorithm's running time in seconds and compare them with each other. This is done using the Java runtime class, which takes the start and end times of the algorithm and calculates the time it took to finish. We are also going to measure the memory usage of each algorithm, also by using the runtime class. This is done by getting the free memory before and after the algorithm to calculate the memory used. This is an example of how it is implemented. To keep a fair comparison, we first generate a random array and clone it to be used by each algorithm. Comparisons are made as the dataset increases in size. In small datasets such as a dataset with 1000 items, we can see that all algorithms run the same as one another, as their running times are the same and the memory usage are the same as well. In a dataset with 10,000 items, we can see that the running times are starting to differ, however they are negligible. In the memory usage, we can see that the radix sort is beginning to use more memory than the other algorithms. In a dataset with 100,000 items, we can see the difference in running times are starting to get bigger, as well as the memory usage of the algorithms. Now, in a dataset with 1,000,000 items, we can see the radix sort start to shine, as we are seeing bigger gaps in running times. However, the memory usage of radix sort is now the highest of the 3 algorithms. The speed difference keeps on increasing as the radix sort algorithm sorts faster than the other algorithms in a dataset of 10 million items. However, we also see a huge jump in memory usage. Lastly, in a dataset with 100 million items, we see that the radix sort is still the fastest among the 3 algorithms. However, it is also the algorithm with the highest memory consumption. Based on the results, it reveals that radix sort shines best on numerical data in large datasets. The algorithm's performance on smaller and moderate datasets is still comparable to other sorting algorithms. The results also show that while radix sort is fast in some cases, it also has the highest memory consumption out of all the algorithms tested, in both small and large datasets. Radix sort showcases its strength in its ability to sort in linear time under specific conditions. This makes it very efficient for larger datasets of integers. The only real limitation of the radix sort algorithm is its flexibility, because unlike other sorting algorithms, it cannot sort by floating point types or string type data.